I never imagined that the woman who claimed to protect the community would one day slam my epileptic daughter against our own front gate. She had no idea I was standing just a few steps away, nor that I held a position powerful enough to rewrite her entire future. And today, she was about to learn exactly what happens when someone hurts my child. Ava stood frozen against the metal gate, her back pressed so hard that the bars dug into her skin. Beacon, her trained service dog, stood stiff beside her, ears back, tail low, unable to assist because the HOA president had physically blocked them in. "I don't care what nonsense your father filled your head with," Mrs. Holloway snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "No dogs in shared areas. It's right there in the rules your family keeps pretending don't exist." I watched from inside my car, engine still running. I'd just driven in after a brutal 14-hour shift. Exhaustion vanished the moment I saw my 14-year-old daughter cornered, trembling, tears on her cheeks. My heartbeat went cold. Mrs. Holloway stood with her back to me, one hand gripping the gate, the other jabbing at my daughter's shoulder with unnecessary force. A few neighbors hovered nearby, watching but too scared, or too cowardly, to interfere. "Please," Ava whispered, clutching Beacon's vest to steady herself. "He's a service dog. The Fair Housing Act. Don't quote laws to me." Mrs. Holloway barked. "I've been a paralegal for 23 years. I know the law better than your family ever will. That fake little vest you bought online doesn't override HOA authority." That last sentence made my vision blur with anger. I stepped out of my car, quietly, my voice dangerously calm, as I approached. "Take your hands off my daughter." She stiffened, turned, and her expression shifted from surprise to smug irritation when she recognized me. "Mr. Riley," she said condescendingly, "perfect timing. Your daughter is trying to break HOA rules again, and her so-called emotional support animal." "Patricia," I interrupted deliberately, using her first name like a warning. "You have 3 seconds to step away before I arrest you for assaulting a minor and interfering with a disability service animal." She blinked, confused, and then actually laughed. "Arrest me? With what authority? You're just." I slowly removed my jacket, revealing the police badge clipped to my belt and the holstered weapon I hadn't even had time to secure in my car. "Assistant Commissioner Riley, Metropolitan Police Department," I said evenly. "I just watched you put your hands on my disabled daughter." For a second, the entire street turned silent. Gasps. Murmurs. Mrs. Holloway's face lost color as the reality hit her. I didn't know," she stammered. "It shouldn't matter," I said coldly. "What matters is that you violated federal disability protections." I looked at the neighbors. "Mrs. Patel, could you please take Ava inside?" She hurried forward to help my daughter. Beacon stayed close, nudging Ava's hand gently. "And Mr. Guzman," I added, "since you've been recording this, I'll need that video for my official report." Mrs. Holloway's eyes widened in panic. "Wait. No, you wait." I stepped closer, lowering my voice so it struck harder. "For 2 years, I've documented every complaint, every harassment attempt, every letter you shoved at my daughter about Beacon. Today you crossed the line from annoyance to physical assault." She swallowed, frozen. "That internet vest you mocked?" I continued. "It was issued through the Department of Justice. Beacon has over 1,500 hours of medically approved training. He's detected Ava's seizures before they hit. He has saved her life 3 times. Her confidence evaporated. Neighbors who had stayed silent suddenly began murmuring against her actions. I pointed toward her house. "Go home, Patricia. You'll hear from the HOA board, the police, and my attorney in that order." Her jaw clenched, but she turned and walked away, heels clicking rapidly on the pavement. I exhaled the breath I'd been holding. Inside, Ava sat on the couch with Beacon's head in her lap, her hands still trembling. Mrs. Patel handed her warm tea before leaving us alone. Ava looked up with watery eyes. "I am sorry, Dad. I was just taking Beacon out like I always do." "Sweetheart," I said, brushing hair from her face, "you have nothing to be sorry for. She broke the law and she hurt you. That is on her." Ava swallowed hard. "Why does she hate us? We never did anything to her." I paused, choosing my words carefully. Some people fear what they don't understand. Your epilepsy, Beacon, they remind her that she doesn't control everything in life. And some people hate feeling powerless. That's a stupid reason to be cruel, Ava said bluntly. Despite everything, I couldn't help but smile. Yes, it is. The next morning, I started making calls. By noon, things had begun moving behind the scenes. 3 days later, the HOA board demanded an emergency meeting. The room was packed. Many neighbors wore purple ribbons, epilepsy awareness. Ava sat beside me. Beacon rested quietly at her feet. Board Chairman Douglas Wilson stood and addressed the room. What happened to Ava Riley was unacceptable. The board has reviewed the footage, the statements, and the laws. He paused, looking directly at Mrs. Holloway, seated stiffly in front. Our vote is unanimous. Patricia Holloway is removed as HOA president, effective immediately. A stunned silence followed, then a wave of relieved applause. And we will fully cooperate with any legal action taken by the Riley family. Mrs. Holloway's face turned pale. But this was only the beginning of her consequences. Mrs. Holloway sat stiffly in the front row while whispers spread through the community center. For years, she had ruled the HOA like a dictator, but today the power she clung to slipped through her fingers in front of everyone. Chairman Wilson continued, his voice firm. We are also mandating disability awareness training for all board members. And we are creating a new accessibility committee, which we hope Ava will consider joining when she feels comfortable. A small smile tugged at Ava's mouth. Beacon nudged her gently, sensing her calm returning. After the meeting, neighbors approached with apologies. Some admitted they had seen Mrs. Holloway picking on Ava before, but never stepped in. Mr. Guzman handed me a flash drive containing footage from his home cameras, 6 separate incidents of her confronting my daughter. It was more than enough. 2 weeks later, the district attorney officially filed charges against Mrs. Holloway. Assault on a minor, interference with a service animal, harassment, violation of disability protections. The courtroom was packed the day of sentencing. Mrs. Holloway stood trembling beside her lawyer as the judge read out her punishment. $5 fine. 200 hours of community service at a disability center. 1 year probation. Mandatory therapy reimbursement for Ava. And a strict no-contact order requiring her to stay 100 feet away unless Ava permitted otherwise. The ruling shook the entire neighborhood. Many said it was the first time they had seen an HOA president held accountable. A week later, Ava came to me with something unexpected. Dad, remember that accessibility committee Mr. Wilson mentioned? I want to join. Her voice was steady, mature beyond her years. Are you sure, sweetheart? I asked gently. She nodded. If someone like Mrs. Holloway could treat us this way, what about the next family that moves here? Maybe a kid in a wheelchair or someone like Caroline who uses crutches. Someone has to make this neighborhood better for them. I felt pride swell in my chest. Then I'll support you completely. Within a month, Ava and the committee had already transformed the community. Gravel paths were replaced with smooth pavement. Ramps were added to the clubhouse. Braille and clearer signage installed. A quiet space created for residents with sensory issues. The same path where Mrs. Holloway had cornered Ava was now easier and safer for everyone. One afternoon, I was watching Ava walk with her new friend, Caroline, a bright 9-year-old with cerebral palsy. Beacon trotted between them, alert yet relaxed. That's when Mrs. Holloway's car rolled to a stop nearby. My body instantly stiffened, but Ava raised a calming hand. She had noticed too. The window lowered, revealing a very different Patricia Holloway than the one who had terrorized our family. Ava, she began, her voice surprisingly soft. May I speak with you? Ava hesitated, then nodded. Yes, Mrs. Holloway. I owe you an apology, she said, eyes glistening. Not just for that day, but for every moment I made your life difficult. Ava waited quietly. Beacon pressed gently against her leg. I've been attending those mandatory classes, Mrs. Holloway went on, and I recently received some medical news. Her voice faltered. I've been diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's. Ava's eyes softened instantly. I'm sorry, she whispered. Mrs. Holloway swallowed, then forced a smile as she looked at Caroline. And who is your friend? This is Caroline, Avis said proudly. She just moved here. To my shock, Mrs. Holloway smiled warmly. Welcome to the neighborhood, sweetheart. Even I wasn't expecting that. Later that evening, Ava told me what had happened. Do you think she really changed, Dad? I took a breath. Sometimes people only learn compassion when life confronts them with their own vulnerability. Ava quietly absorbed that. I'm still mad about what she did, she admitted. But I don't want to hate her. And that was the moment I realized my daughter had more emotional strength than most adults I had ever met. 6 months later, our community celebrated the opening of the first fully accessible playground in the entire county. Parents cried as children explored the new equipment, including wheelchair-friendly swings, padded paths, and sensory walls. Ava gave a short but powerful speech. Differences don't divide us. They just give us different ways to belong. The crowd erupted into applause. As people wandered toward food tables, I noticed Mrs. Holloway standing at a distance, watching quietly. Her hand subtly trembled, a sign of her condition. Ava noticed too. After a brief moment of reflection, my daughter walked up to her. Would you like to join us for lemonade? Ava asked gently. Mrs. Holloway blinked in shock. After everything I did, why would you want me there? Ava adjusted Beacon's vest, her habit when thinking deeply. Because holding on to anger is heavy, she said simply. And someday you might need help too. Think of this as practice for both of us. Mrs. Holloway's face softened. I would like that. Thank you. As they walked together toward the table, I stayed back, overwhelmed with pride. My daughter, the girl once pinned helplessly against the gate, was now leading her former bully toward healing. Not because the woman deserved it, because Ava chose humanity over hatred. Weeks later, Ava sat on our porch, sketching ideas for a new project. Beacon slept peacefully at her feet. What are you working on? I asked. A buddy system, she replied, for kids with disabilities who move here, so no one has to feel alone. And who's helping you build it? I asked. She smiled softly. Mrs. Holloway. She's good at organizing things. I paused, surprised. How does it feel working with her now? Ava thought for a second. She needs help sometimes. Her hands shake. I opened her water bottle during our meeting yesterday. She shrugged gently. No big deal. That's what community is, right? Helping someone when they're struggling. My throat tightened. The same gate where Ava was once pinned was now decorated with dozens of bright handprints. Ours, the neighbors, and yes, even Mrs. Holloway's. Beneath them was a phrase Ava suggested. Different paths, same community. And for the first time, it finally felt true.